With the Maumee River's new water trail designation and the increasing interest in water recreation in Northwest Ohio, we wanted to set out and explore the beautiful river for ourselves. With a little over 137 miles of river to play on, the crew and I decided to check out one of the most scenic sections. The 11-mile stretch between Grand Rapids and Waterville, Ohio is both mind-blowingly gorgeous as well as full of adrenaline-pumping fun. With 3 sets of rapids, a handful of beautiful bridges, multiple islands to visit, and plenty of forested shoreline, this chunk of water is one that you do not want to miss. So, before the crew and I could get out on the Maumee and paddle our butts off, I reached out to my good friend and awesome dude in general, Chris Martin, owner and founder of River Lures Kayaks in Grand Rapids, Ohio. He hooked us up with some kayaks, some pizza, and some hard-earned knowledge about the mighty Maumee. Let's go see what he has to say. Thanks for having us out today, Chris.
Morning, Paul.
Just going to ask you a few questions. So, how long have you owned River Lures?
This is my 14th season. I bought the bait shop across the street in '04, and by '05 I was renting kayaks.
Over the years, River Lures has grown and is now offering great kayaking experiences all along the river.
And now that we've got 3 locations, one here in Grand Rapids, we're at Farnsworth Park, we're at Middle Grounds, and now we want to represent the river as far up as Fort Wayne. If people want to go to Fort Wayne, we'll put them in and they can backpack down the river.
Now, I grew up in Northwest Ohio. I've been here my whole life, and as long as I have known, the river has been called the Muddy Maumee. Now, it should come as no surprise to you that over 70% of the banks of the Maumee River are covered in farmland because that corn ain't gonna grow itself. The Maumee gets that brownish color from the dirt from the farmland running into the river, and that's not anything that should keep us from enjoying this awesome waterway. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it.
Well, I think that Steve Pollock said it best. He did a trip the whole 100, he did Fort to Port, which is 138 miles. He did it in the 70s and he did it in the 2000s. He did it about 4 or 5 years ago. And he said we can be proud of ourselves, that that river is a lot better than it was in the 70s. It's muddy, it always looks bad, but I've been swimming in it ever since the 60s. I'm a little strange, but I don't think it's because of the water.
So you would say it's definitely improved since.
Oh, absolutely. In the summer now, if it doesn't rain for 2 weeks, it gets a nice green. It's not a brown anymore, you know, and there's sections of the river where you can, it's crystal clear.
Now, we all know that River Lures sells and rents kayaks, but what most people don't know is they sell an assortment of fishing gear and everything you need to get out on the river.
My whole objective was to bring awareness to our beautiful Maumee River. And the section from Grand Rapids down, I think, is the most remote and the prettiest. People enjoy it the most. More and more people come back every year to see this section. And our main objective is just for people to enjoy the peace and serenity on our beautiful river.
With all that peace and serenity talk, we got really excited to get out on the river. Chris drove us down to the banks and set us on our way.
All right.
Yeah, you guys have a great time today.
Have a great time. Hope you come back.
Me too. But before we set off on our adventure, let's get you informed on how to paddle safely. Hey, roll that clip! One of the most important things you can do while kayaking is to wear a personal flotation device, known to the pros as a PFD. To learn more about how to choose and wear a PFD safely, let's check in with my homeboy Bill Heflin, senior naturalist at Wood County Park District.
Most important thing is to actually realize what this jacket is supposed to do if it's doing its job, and that's to keep your mouth out of the water. So if it's as loose and slack as this, when you go in the water, it's going to come up like that.
Nope.
And these are really nicely designed life jackets. Even if you screw up as bad as you've done right here, your mouth is most likely going to be above the water. But on a lower quality jacket, your mouth might be down in here and your mouth's underwater, and we don't breathe water, we breathe air. So first thing you want to do is actually start by the bottom, and you got a little buckle right here, and you have 2 lower straps, and those need to land in between your hip bone and your lowest rib bone, because when you go in, that strap's going to catch under your ribs. That is your money strap. It's going to be the most uncomfortable one, but it's going to be the one that potentially saves your life. And then from there, you snug them down to side equally. And then the last one is the top strap. And you want to paddle with this as low as you can. It's the most comfortable. And still keep this lowest strap in between the ribs and the hips. So one of the mistakes we commonly see is people don't bother loosening these, and then the jacket is right at their chin. And that's not a comfortable way to paddle.
Cool. So pull this thing up. Let's see how it fits now.
Barely moves.
You're pulling my ribs out of socket.
Yes.
Now that we all know how to properly and safely wear a life jacket, let's get back on the river and see why the Maumee is one of the best places in our area to spend an hour, an afternoon, or even an entire week of your hard-earned free time. So our crew, consisting of Jeff, James, Katie, Justin, and yours truly, hit the Maumee to find out what it was all about. With our luck, we chose one of the coldest and windiest days to film. But hey, this is a nature show. What we found was that the stretch of river starting at Grand Rapids is slow moving, laid back, and a great place to lazily float along. So after getting all geared up with life jackets, paddles, and kayaks, we hit the river to see what trouble we could get ourselves into. With heavily forested riverbanks, tons of little islands to check out, and super abundant wildlife everywhere, this is one place you are not going to want to pass up. And to be real with you, what's not to like about chilling on a river all day?
Freaking awesome.
While we paddled in the Maumee, we found it super hard to believe that we were smack dab in the middle of Northwest Ohio, only a few short miles upstream from the hustle and bustle of downtown Toledo. It's super amazing how nature can transform your views on your local area. All you need to do is get out there and explore it for yourself. When we come back from our commercial break, we're going to speed things up a little bit. A few miles into our trip, things started to really pick up. Once we got about 3 or 4 miles in, the water started moving a little faster, and we got to experience all the beautiful white water that the Maumee River has to offer. Starting around Otsego Park and continuing on and off until you hit Sidecut Metro Park, hitting the rapids can be an adrenaline-pumping way to spend your day. Well, unless you're a cameraman in a tandem kayak with not much experience running rapids and you're filming in high water. Now in high water, the rapids can be a little sketchy for beginners, but most of the year they're doable for everyone. To know if the water levels are safe, simply Google Maumee River water levels.
So my super daring friends ran the rapids, and for the sake of television, and they did a killer job. Jeff only got smacked in the head once by James. So yeah, we had some fun. You got any words?
I only threw up once.
Only threw up once?
Yeah, just trying to stay afloat.
Keep it positive. And now I have to fall in the water.
Now chances are, if you're going paddling, at one point or another, you're gonna eat it. Let's check in with Bill Heflin and see how we can get back in our kayaks after falling in the river. Well, it was nice knowing ya. If I drown, just keep it rolling, okay? Over. Swimmer!
How you doing, Paul?
I think I'm dead.
You think you're dead?
Pretty sure.
Dead people generally don't talk much.
Oh, okay. I think I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Step number 1, stay with your boat. If you let go of that kayak and it gets away from you, it's gonna be pretty hard to get it back.
Is the water warm? Well, I mean, you're staying with your boat. That's not bad.
Step number 2, have your partner help you empty the water from your kayak.
That's good. No, I want you to know.
Step number 3, When your partner has your boat side by side with theirs, facing in opposite directions, and as they're holding on tightly, kick your legs to help propel you out of the water and grab the far side of their kayak. Step number 4, lay on the top of your kayak with your stomach facing down and your feet facing towards the front of the boat. Now stick your legs into the cockpit, get yourself into a kneeling position facing the rear of your boat, and as your partner helps balance the kayak, spin around and sit back in the seat.
Woo! Success!
Step 5,
Safe!
celebrate.
We'll be back after this.